That narcissist is out there.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop.
You better believe it. There's many narcissists out there and psychopaths. In fact, millions of them, and more narcissists. Let's take a look at narcissism and psychopathy and sociopathy. But I'm just going to sort of concentrate on narcissism because that's one of the worst problems around because they're everywhere, you know. And what are narcissists like? Well, they're spiteful, they're hostile, they're malevolent. Now, malevolent, that's a real bad word because that means evil. Malicious, malign, and dangerous. Yes, these people are dangerous. A lot of them are criminals, you know, and they're all over the place. They're in the working class communities, like I said in the last video. They're in the middle class communities because, you know, especially in the corporate world, you know, and they're up to all sorts, you know, criminality and everything. And you know, there's different types of narcissism, obviously, but a narcissist is a narcissist, no matter how severe he is or she is. By the way, it's more men who are narcissists than women, more men. But there are women narcissists as well, or female narcissists. And these people are, you know, they're there and they're always going to be there. In fact, a lot of them run the world, you know. But I'll go into that in a minute. But the malignant narcissist is the most dangerous. They're 1 in every 100. Whereas the other narcissists are about 10 in every 100, maybe a little bit more, 10 or 15 in every 100. That's quite a lot. But 1 in 100, you know, is quite a lot if you look at it closely. I mean, 1 in 100, there's 67 million people in this country. So 1 in 100 out of 60 million, 67 million people is a hell of a lot of people, you know. It's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them, you know. And, you know, the lesser narcissists, there's 10 of them in every 100. So how many is that? That's about 1 million, is it? Or a bit more than 1 million, you know. There's 67 million people living in the country. I wasn't great at maths, but if it took a bit of time, I'd find out the near enough exact figure. But, you know, the malignant narcissist is one of the worst narcissists you can come up against if you're targeted by one. And like I said in the last film, people who have empathy, empaths, are normally targeted by narcissists because narcissists are the direct opposite to them. The narcissist likes to portray that he has empathy and sympathy with others, but he doesn't. It's all sort of like an act, you know. It's all a facade, and they love to torture empaths and try to destroy empaths or people with empathy. Because they know that the empath can see through them. They know that. They know they've met their match in the empath. So they're truly unique, these people, you know. They're authoritarian, you know. Authoritarian, they want to control everything. They're control freaks. And you daresn't sort of try to, you know, get one over on them or you're in trouble. They're always right. You know, they always think they're right. They use people, as we know. You are not a friend. You are an asset to these people. You're not a friend. You're their asset. In other words, they don't see people as human beings. They do like to see people as human beings, but really they're objects to be manipulated. You know, and the friends that they do have, a lot of them are flying monkeys. You know, people who've been caught up in their little world and people who think that they're great people, you know what I mean? So they're flying monkeys. They report things back to them. You know, if they want to find anything out about you, they send a flying monkey in to find out what you're up to, and you won't know who he is. But they'll go back and report things to him, you know, by gossiping within the community. And I'm talking about the narcissist now within the community, the narcissist at work, the narcissist in the bar or the public house. They're the narcissist I'm speaking about now, not the narcissist who's in a relationship and making his wife's life a misery, or the married narcissist who's making his wife's life a misery and his children's life a misery. or his girlfriend's life or misery. I'm talking about the narcissist now in general society, within the community. You always find them in, like I said in the last film, you always find them where there are people, because they love to be around people, you know. But when they're around people, everything that they do is to their timeline. They watch everything that they do, you know. And like I've said in the last film, you know, the narcissist isn't born that way. He learns it as he grows up from childhood. But the psychopath is born that way. But both of them are wired up totally different than what we are. The psychopath maybe even a bit more. And they're callous. They simply don't care. They're mean-spirited. And you know, the media glorifies them, puts these people forward as being the heroic people, you know, heroic people within our society. And you know, it never ever ceases to amaze me, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I'm sorry if I am reiterating this, but it needs to be reiterated to get it across to people, you know, that these people in society are looked upon as heroic figures. You know, you have you ever seen them films, Buffy and the Vampire Slayer, or these other like really horrific films where other vampires who are good vampires are killing evil vampires in the most heinous and hideous of ways. So even vampires now are being looked upon, or being portrayed, by the media, people who make films, as being heroic figures. And you're going to ask yourself, well, how has this been allowed to happen? Because the people who make the films are narcissistic as well. You know, have narcissistic tendencies or psychopathic tendencies or sociopathic tendencies. So the world is run by these people, like I said before, and I'll keep saying it again. All our leaders, all the MPs in the House of Commons, not all of them, but quite a lot of them, are narcissistic, and some of them are psychopathic. Even the ones that sit on the cabinet, from the Prime Minister down to the 23 ministers who sit on the cabinet, who obviously they call ministers but they're MPs. They're narcissistic. It's unbelievable, and some of them are psychopathic, and they've really honed and made, you know, their qualities of integration and everything really fantastic. These people know how to integrate, and they know how to behave in such a way as to get what they want, and to make the targeted person, the person they've targeted, or someone who's sort of up against them in whatever environment they're in, they know how to make that person look bad. And the sad thing is, ordinary people believe them over the genuine person or the empathic person. But lies doesn't mean anything to them. It's second nature. They just tell lies. They love to walk around looking good. They don't like to walk around looking scruffy, because their appearance is important to them, because that's all part of the facade of them. You know, they're confidence tricksters. In other words, they trick your confidence, and you think they're great people, but in reality they aren't. You know, they want to come across as being very stable. You know, you should, you know, if you can, you know, don't lose your temper with these people. Don't get into a scrap with them or a barney with them. In other words, any physical violence or anything, because you can't win against them. You know, you have to develop a healthy fear of these people, because they're all over the place out there. And like I said before, some are worse than others, but you've got the malignant narcissist, which is the worst, and they're 1 in every 100. If you come across one of them, you're in trouble. But anyway, to cut a long story short, you can't reason with these people. You know, you can't reason with them at all. There's no reasoning with them. You can have no dialogue with them. That's if you're a targeted person. You can't have any dialogue with them, because they don't view reality in the same way that the normal person does. Their whole perspective is totally different. They're wired up totally different. They view that which is unreal as real, and that which is real as unreal. And does that remind you of anything? That's the way our media, the fake media is, the newspapers, when they spin doctor stories in such a way that the story doesn't represent anything what the story was originally about by the time it gets in the newspapers. And, you know, a lot of people think that the editors now in Fleet Street, a lot of them are narcissistic, you know, malignant narcissists. A lot of them are, you know, to do what they do. And they know what they're doing, you know. They're not stupid. It's not as though they, forgive them for they know not what they do. They do know what they're doing, and everything they're doing is geared up to their self-advancement and to their selfish needs. You're just there to be used by them. And this is the way it is. It's very dangerous, and this is why I always say I'm a Christian, you know, and when I'm out there in the real world, I wear the full armour of God, because I know what I'm up against. I wear the full armour of God. I know what I'm up against, and I spoke about the full armour of God in my last film, and I know where these people are. I know how to try and avoid them, because I have empathy with poor people and stuff like that, and maybe I'm empathic. Sorry, I've come under attack by these people on numerous occasions. So I know what I'm talking about. I've had first-hand experience with them. I had experience with them when I was at sea in the Merchant Navy. I've had experience with them at work. I've had experience with them in my community. I've had experience with them all over the place, and I know what they're like. I know how evil they are. You know, these people are evil, satanic people. You know, I know what they're like. And I try to avoid them as much as I can, and when I do get into a spat with them, I try to get out the way. I alleviate myself from the environment that they're in and just disappear, because you can't win against these people. Their whole life is geared up to this manipulation and this devious behaviour. You can't win with them. But anyway, just another short video, and I hope you get something from it. And, as I said before, I may be reiterating all the time, but it needs to be reiterated, because this is a very serious issue, which we all should take seriously, And the great thing is today, with YouTube, there's lots of information about this on YouTube, from people far cleverer than me, from psychiatrists, even from other psychopaths and narcissists. They've come on, they're trying to make a few bob out of it, like, I suppose, but they're there as well. And, if you could, it would be really great if you could subscribe to this channel. As you can see, I've only got 10 subscribers. It's not going up very fast, because I've been on for quite a while now, so I'm not getting many people viewing these videos. But these videos take quite a while to make, because I have to use green screen, because as you can see, I put film and pictures behind me, so I have to use green screen to use that. And to make green screen work properly, you need proper lighting in the studio. So these films don't take 5 minutes to make. But it would be great if you could subscribe to me. The more subscribers I get, the better. Thanks very much.